Hey, what's up guys, James Simon here, and welcome back to the next episode of my uplifting trance course here on Sonic Academy. In last episode, we looked at structuring out the intro, and we got to bar 81. In this episode, we're going to be continuing on the structure of the intro. I wanted to split these videos as they can get quite long and quite hard to follow along. So, the very last section that we were working on was this kind of small transition between the straight bass line and when the bass line changes, when we got the chord progression. So let's just have a quick little listen back. So I'm really liking the way that sounds, lots and lots of power when this chord progression drops. So we just want to kind of continue on, and we want to kind of continue the theme of almost every 8 bars something is happening. So let's add in our vocals. And we'll just copy across some of the sound effects. And let's just have a quick listen and see how that sounds. So I'm really liking the actual sound of the vocals, but they're kind of a bit awkward in the mix. What I like to do with vocals when I've got the kick and the bass playing is I like to add on a sidechain, and that kind of helps just to bounce them up and down, just to kind of get them out of the way of the kick, and also gives them a little bit more of an atmospheric feel, so they're kind of sitting in the background rather than kind of sitting right in the forefront as they were there. As explained when we were doing the vocals, they're not actually, a lead vocal. It's just a kind of background sound. So I think that sounds a bit better. They kind of bounce up and down with the rest of the track and don't sound kind of too in your face. Okay, so from bar 97 to 105, we want to start bringing all of the sounds out. So that's when kick and bass and everything is going to drop out. So let's add in our rises and our sound effects. And we've got our snare roll. Let's maybe bring it up to bar 97. Oh, just pulled the sound effects too far. And we want to continue on all of our sounds there. And let me just move. Actually, I think they can stay there. Yeah, they can stay there for the time being. So we want to start filtering everything down as from 97 to 105, as this is where the breakdown is going to start with the piano. And so let's just use our filters on the synth cutoffs to start bringing them down. And we're going to do pretty much the opposite of what we did when we were filtering in the intro lead. We're going to use the high pass to kind of take out the low end. And let's use the volume automation just to bring the volume down as well, just to make it a little bit smoother. We're going to do the same for the pads. And one thing I like to do with my pads when transitioning between sections is to automate the amount of sidechain that we hear. So I'm just going to create an automation clip on the sidechain mix amount. And as soon as the kick drops out, I'm just going to bring down the amount of sidechain, and I'm gonna bring down so that towards the end of the section the pads will not be sidechained anymore. So let's just have a quick listen to that. So you can hear they've got a really nice smooth way in which it transitions from the sidechain jumping up and down to then being not sidechained, and very kind of the lush and kind of smooth way it transitions into the break. Just realised we need to do the cutoff on the pluck as well. So this is on the actual synth. So we've got the synth filter and we've got an actual low pass filter added on. So that's quite nice and smooth. I think we want to do the same with the vocals. Let's just start to bring the sidechain down. So this is the sidechain automation, just to make that a little bit smoother as well. So let's just have a listen to see how all of that sounds. So that's starting to sound really nice, a very smooth transition between the two sections there. Let's just add a reverse crash in there. Coupled with the effects kick just for a bit more of a kind of impact. And I think the intro leads could probably come down a little bit quicker, so I'm just going to pull down on their cutoffs a bit more, and maybe the same with the pads. The atmosphere can also be brought down. And let's go to our sub and let's just bring the sub out a little bit, just to make sure this last kind of bar here doesn't have too much sub in. And we'll do the same with the bass line as well. So we're bringing down the volume of the sub, bringing the high cut of the bass line up. And let's do the same with the percussion, just bring the low pass filter all the way down. So that's sounding quite nice. One thing that's missing in this 97 to 105 bars is the sub. So we've taken the sub out. So what I like to do is add in an extra sub pads just to kind of fill this area. But we need to create a new MIDI clip because this chord progression is what we use for the main melody. So we're going to take away the first 8 bars and we're going to copy and paste the second 8 bars. So this is the chord progression for the intro. And then let's go ahead and add on a Fruity Balance, so a volume controller. And we want to start the volume at standard, at its maximum. But then we just want to start to bring it down. I always find that bringing down the sub in these kind of these transition sections between the intro and the breakdown, bringing down the sub pad kind of just helps this transition to be a little bit better. Also, I want to focus more on the piano in the breakdown rather than the sub, so we're bringing the volume down by quite a bit. So let's just have a listen from around about here all the way up to 105. So that sounded really nice. A couple of things that I've noticed. Maybe the pads just kind of come down too quickly. I want some sort of kind of backing layer behind it. It sounded a bit thin there. Yep, that's sounding a bit better to me. Also, one extra thing on the intro. I think these volume controls on the synthesizer could be a bit louder. Maybe I've copied over the earlier quieter volume control. So let's just copy back over the louder one from the initial intro, as I still want to kind of hear this synthesizer come through a bit more. So that's coming through a little bit more. I'm just going to bring down the automation on the pitch there at the end. And that's quite a cool technique, just to kind of signify that that's the end of that section. I'm just going to make the volume unique, and then I want to chop off the last bar. Or last beat, I should say, just to help that transition. So it's sounding a bit better, so now let's just copy over these automation clips. I'm really liking the way that the intro is kind of coming together now. It sounded very nice indeed. We're going to leave it there for the time being, as there is one final episode called The Final Fine Tuning, which I'll be going back through every individual section of the track, just to make sure that all those kind of little, you know, volume, automation controls and everything's just sounding absolutely perfect. I like to kind of, when I'm making my track, just get everything down and just kind of get as much down as I can. And then go back and do all the kind of final fine tuning, as I say, and really get into the kind of little nitty gritty bits. But for the time being, we're going to leave it at that. Next episode, we'll be looking at the breakdown. I'll see you then. Cheers.